All right, we are back with another Ravendawn build. This time, we're going to be talking about a mage build that I've been working on for a little while. That has been I've really been enjoying. And so, that build is Arcanist, which is wizardry, spiritual, and witchcraft. For this build, I go down the left-hand side of the wizardry tree with fireball and frostbolt. These are my builders, right? These are how I'm building Aether. I have Erupt in the build, but I don't use it. Pyroblast and Flame Tornado when I pull multiple mobs. I also use Frost Shards. You'll see in a minute how this all comes together. Frost Lance. And then I have two passives. I have Frost Armor, which gives me more haste. And I have Flow of Magic, which you're more or less stacked up all the time when you're grinding. So it can be really, really helpful. In spiritual, I have Cyclone, which I don't use. I have Whirlwind, Regenerate, Force Push, and Celerity passive to reduce cooldowns. In Witchcraft, I have Arcane Pulse, which I don't use. I have Leech, which is what I open with, which is the only dot that I use in this build. I've been playing around with this build like 15 different ways. I was really dot heavy in Witchcraft for a little while, and what I realized is that the dots just take forever, and they really weren't giving me what I wanted from a damage perspective, so I went more of a direct damage variation of this, and it's working out really well. And then I have Eternal Worms, which is my only snare, but it gives me... it's a snare, so I can continue to keep distance. One part of a big thing in this build is to try and keep as much distance as possible. And then I have Witchcraft Mastery, which is a GCD cooldown reduction by 10%. So I'm running 2 cooldown reductions as the passives in Spiritual and Witchcraft. I'm running a little bit of protection and ramping for crit here. And then more or less what you see on my bar are a lot of direct damage skills. So I'll show you how this plays. Before I do that, I'll show you... where I've put my points. So I've put the vast majority, and I know the kind of meta right now is to put all your points in one stat, but I've made the decision to put majority of the points in int. The wisdom that you see comes off my gear, and then I've put some points into dexterity as it's a GCD reduction, and it helps me be more defensive. So I am in the mining caves just south of Harbor Island right now, and we'll show you this build. Just as a sequence of how I usually kind of open with this build is I'll put Leech on the target. I'll fireball it. If I'm low on Aether, I'll fireball it and I'll frostbolt it. I frost lance and then I pyroblast. If I need it, I'll use frost shards after that, but I usually don't need it. And if all these go on to cooldown, I'll whirlwind the target. So here we got a mob that spawned. I'm gonna build. I'm gonna frost lance, and I'm gonna pyro. And I really don't need anything else. And so these mobs are effective 34. I'm effective 33 right now, and you'll see that I can just eat through these things. The dex really brings the cooldown timers down, which is nice. So right there, and if I get in trouble, I can push back with force push here. That puts a shield on me. I can use my spacebar from the scepter. And then I can kite while I'm building, frost lance, and then pyro, and it dies. In between pulls, I'll usually hot myself. It takes almost no mana to use that hot. We'll build here again. Get a leech off on the target. If we get more than one, we're going to throw one of these guys down. We're going to still use our combo. We can root, which is going to give us heals and time to build a little bit here. Throw a heal on ourselves. No waiting to heal. That heal serves very little purpose, but it's really meant to be used between fights, which is nice. So let's go north here. Let's find a mob. We'll leech it. We'll build a little bit. We'll lance. Pyro. We'll root it. We'll finish it with ice shards, probably. If we don't, we can always come with whirlwind. And then we have our builders, which are doing big damage. Leech. We build. We get full Aether here. Lagging like crazy. Fine. Server is completely fucked. The servers are having a lot of trouble right now. We're going to leech him since we don't have everything up. We have everything up now. Do our normal combo. Ice shard. Knock him away. We'll give ourselves a shield. Just keep hitting him with fireballs. Just monstered. It's so good. Grab a heal. Mana pot. Just keep going. So, here's what we're using. We're using the Fireball Crit Builder, which is Chain Wraith Haunt. We're using Icicle Gazer, which is another. It's like a frost. It's a Frost Lance crit guarantee, and we're using a lot of Frost Lance, so that's really good. So when we're building here and we're fireballing and frostbolting, what we're doing is we're setting up Frost Lance to crit, which is really huge. I don't use that, so it doesn't matter. I have a really good Pyroblast card at rare. Pyroblast always crit strikes. Targets above 75% health. This is helpful because I'm by the time I've hit these three, they're still pretty high. Occasionally they'll be lower than that with Frost Lance, but doesn't really matter. So if they're still healthy after that, my Pyroblast is going to really fucking do a ton of damage. Flame Tornado has the ability to add a dot effectively to the target, which can be helpful. As we come down for Ice Shards, this just gives, or Frost Shards rather, this just gives additional base crit chance when you're casting that. So we're really building direct damage and crit is this build. Not a lot of dots. Now you have, this is a 3-charge Frost Lance consumable called Snow Broodmother, and it increases the spell damage to 110%, which is huge. Teleport really doesn't matter. I don't use it very much, so that card doesn't make a huge difference. This card is huge, so this is Force Push. So if I get in trouble and they're all close to me, I push them all away, but I also get a barrier, 500% barrier, which is really good for defensive purposes, and you'll need a little bit of defensive optimization in this build. When we come over into this build, basic attacks you make on targets affected by your leech heal, because your leeching is your opener, so you're weaving basic attacks in there the whole time. Heal 16% of the damage that they deal, so you're getting a little bit of healing back every time you're hitting a mob, which is really nice. Earthworms, which is our root, apply Twilight Curse for each damage over time consumed, up to 3 stacks. I'm probably going to actually change that, because I'm really not consuming a ton of damage over time. This is actually probably better for this build. So that's the cards that I use. So again, the build is Arcanist. A ton of direct damage. Really optimized just to blast things down with a ton of crit. Give it a try. If it works for you, leave a comment. And thanks for watching.